living in a season of love right now, singing and breathing together, remembering loved ones now gone but still with us even now because we speak their names aloud or call upon their memories. Here in this place, this sanctuary where we can be honest about what we feel and what we believe. We know how to measure a year. We measure not just in sunsets or in midnights and mornings. We know how we measure our lives, not in miles or meters, not in laughter or losses, truths she learned or tears he cried, not even in discoveries or debates, or even in long walks and long talks. We're measuring the year right here, right now, in cups full of love. Love beyond belief. We've been on quite a long journey to get here. A journey that began long, long ago. So I want to invite you to come back in time with me, back to the 19th century, as we look upon two special people who were known for taking long walks and sharing long talks together. Margaret Fuller and Ralph Waldo Emerson are their names, or Waldo, as Margaret called him, were each leaders of the new school of American transcendentalism and deeply rooted in the Unitarian tradition of their times. Margaret read philosophy in 4 languages at age 9, was the editor of The Dial, a literary journal, and wrote critical reviews in the New York Tribune. Emerson, already a renowned Unitarian minister, philosopher, and writer, often edited Fuller's articles. They met in the summer of 1836 and spent the next 4 years walking and talking together. On Thursday, August 18th, 1836, Margaret wrote in her journal, "I feel more at home with him constantly. He's a much better companion than formerly. For once he would talk obstinately through the walk. But now we can be silent and see things together." Curious about Christianity and what lay beyond Christianity, Fuller and Emerson were also friends with other Unitarians of the times, like William Ellery Channing, Henry David Thoreau, Nathaniel Hawthorne, among other great thinkers and writers. Individually and collectively, they pondered the nature and meaning of all things, especially ultimate ones. "In the evening, I took a walk with Waldo," Fuller writes. Looking at the moon, in the river, he said the same thing as in his letter, how each twinkling light breaking there summons to demand the whole secret, and how promising nature never fulfills what she thus gives us a right to expect. I said, I could never meet him there. The beauty does not stimulate me to ask why. I was satisfied for the moment, full as if my existence was filled out, for nature had said the very word that was lying in my heart. Then we had an excellent talk. We agreed that my God was love and his God was truth. Waldo said that these statements alternate, of course, in every mind. The only difference was in which you were most at home. Where are you most at home? In the realm of truth or in the realm of love? Or maybe you're more at home in nature. Or you may find safety and security in the symmetry and mystery of music and mathematics. Wherever you feel at home, whichever matters more to you, however you measure your life, this is a tradition in which we are each encouraged to name our experience of ultimate things with our own words and ideas. Waldo doesn't care for facts. except so far as the immortal essence can be distilled from them, Fuller wrote. He has little sympathy with mere life, does not seem to see the plants grow, merely that he may rejoice in their energy. Where are you most at home? In the realm of energy and healing, or in the realm of matter and facts? However you measure your life, this is a tradition that invites each and every one of us to have long talks and to make friends with people who see it differently, who say it differently, who feel it differently, and express their experiences of ultimate things differently. For we have Margaret Fuller as a founding mother of our faith. Fuller, who said, "I have pledged myself to nothing. God and the soul and nature are all my creed. Subdivisions are unimportant. I act for myself, but prescribe for none other." This morning, as we carry on the legacy of people like Margaret Fuller and Ralph Waldo Emerson, we make space for each other's understandings and for whatever languages we use to describe and express them. That's how we can have humanists and theists and Buddhists and Christians and Jews and many others in one spiritual community and call it home. Because All Souls is home for people finding new ways to express what we know from our own direct experience. All Souls is home for the open-minded and the open-hearted. All Souls is home for people learning to live and love beyond belief.
Wonderful that this morning all of us are together, all three services, the traditional, the humanist, and the contemporary. All Souls is that, a place of diversity, of creativity, of curiosity, of experience and experiment. And I love that about it. The wine is not in the grape, it's in the cluster, sometimes the clutter. The scripture says, how can two walk together except they be agreed? Well, of course, the word agreement in Greek actually is the word symphoneo, where we get the English word symphony. It doesn't mean to sound alike. It doesn't even mean to sound the same. It just means to sound together, to sound in concert. That's what attracted me and my congregation some years ago, and now we've merged into this congregation to be a part of everything that we do here. As a man of color and from the edges of the extreme fundamentalist Christian genre, the Pentecostals, I know what it is to feel rejected or to be judged or to be criticized for being different. I kind of pride myself in being different, and at the same time, it's very uncomfortable to be different. There are a few churches where you can be different or be authentic, and that means your original authorized self. You were authored in. The author, the creative author, who and however that manifested, has authored you in to your unedited self. Most of us spend our time in life imitating who we think, or impersonating who we think people want us to be, because we want to be liked. There are a few churches, a lot of churches say welcome, but not all of them say wanted. You know about that just at family reunions and that kind of a thing. So walking together, I often say that a man and woman, if they have, both of them, a husband and wife, have the same opinion about everything, one of them ain't necessary. Diversity adds a different kind of an interesting aspect. Reverend Barbara mentioned Margaret Fuller and Ralph Waldo Emerson, both leaders of the new school of American transcendentalism and deeply rooted in the Unitarian tradition in their times over a century ago. A core postulation of transcendentalism is in the inherent goodness of people and nature. Transcendentalism developed as an organic consequence of the Unitarian emphasis on free conscience. We are the we call ourselves Unicostals. We're the transcendentalists. We knew that here at All Souls, and I used to drive by here, some of you have heard me say, and just curse this place and rebuke the devil out of it and ask God to save all you heathens at all. I knew there were Hindus here, there might have been some Muslims, but we knew there were Hindus and Jews and atheists and agnostics and all this. But then a few years ago when we were homeless as a congregation, because I began to preach a more expansive, what I call radically inclusive gospel, which is a form, of course, of Christian universalism. I didn't use that terminology at the time because we associated with you. And I've been trying to cast the devil out of you all these years, and I end up being cast in here among you. So, one of the great thrills. So when I got the left finger of fellowship from the fundamentalist group that I've been fellowshipping with all those years, and I came here and I wondered if this church, who I knew received a different variety of people, agnostics and atheists, and I was told earlier that this was a creedless denomination and there was no credulity to it, or y'all didn't believe nothing. I said, but I wonder if they could accept us. We were known as classical Pentecostals and neo-Pentecostals, pew jumping, devil thumping, Bible toting, Bible quoting, tongue talking folks. Was there room in here for us? An atheist might work, an agnostic might work, our Jewish brothers and sisters, a Hindu, somebody that believes, but where would we fit? And right after we began to lose everything as a body, this church sent our church an offering. The newspaper carried the story about me becoming a universalist, and others said Carlton Pearson became a heretic. Then we get a check from this church, from your Sunday morning offerings, now our Sunday morning offerings. I was shocked. I thought, what's All Souls Unitarian Church sending me money? We were struggling to pay our bills. We were about to lose everything. Ultimately, we did, but I never forgot that check. I still remember them checks when they come in. So I called Pastor Marlin, and we got together and had lunch. We talked for about 3 years before we ever got here. First, the church was offered to us as a place where we could meet, because we, in the afternoon, and then in the summertime when you have less services, we could meet here a little earlier. We came here, I don't know what time it was, 11:30, and you came. So many of you came, and we were not visitors anymore, we were participants. There were so many All Souls members in New Dimensions services that I thought, wow, these folks might really like us. They don't just like us, they welcome us. Maybe they want us and want us to be a part of them. So within months we merged to become the fellowship that we are today. We enjoy the diversity. We welcome the diversity. We welcome the idea that there are different ideas. The Unitarians have prided themselves in the ancient days of being transcendentalist, more spiritual. The people that Barbara talked about, Ms. Fuller and Mr. Emerson, those people were transcendentalists. Here's one of the statements that they made that I think will be powerful. The transcendentalists were not content with the sobriety, mildness, and calm rationalization of Unitarianism. Instead, they long for a more intense spiritual experience. And that's where we come in. That's why you got a Hammond B3 organ over there and some drums. And you might clap your hands, and we're slowly evolving into all the beauty of this wonderful, diverse, radically inclusive expression. And whether we're transplants, transgendered, or transcendentalists, we're all welcome here at All Souls Unitarian Church, the church where love is beyond belief. Yes.
It's a wondrous love, a wondrous generous love that opens our hearts to one another, a wondrous love that embraces each other despite our differences. When we witness somebody opening their heart, it cracks open something in us because it frees us to open our own hearts to one another. A space opens. We feel the authenticity in another, and then we can sense it in ourselves and be free to share it. The Unitarian Universalist theologian Tandeyeka, who was here with us the week before last, she wrote about an experience that she had some years ago when she was speaking at a Unitarian church in New England, where she was talking to them about creating a small group ministry program, kind of like the one that we have, very much like the one that we have here called Soulful Circles. And in that process, she was talking to them about how these kinds of small groups help to build community and deepen people's experience of love beyond belief or spirituality or that which we are seeking. And she explained how these small group programs are happening all over the country and how people involved are finding them very meaningful and very moving. And at the end of her formal remarks, she asked the members of the audience to share. Here's how she described it. One of the most respected elder statesmen of the church stood up and slowly walked to the front of the assembly, faced his fellow congregants, and said he was interested in joining such a group. He'd wanted something like this for years, he said, because he was lonely. I don't have any friends, he finally confessed. Now, waves of shock went through the gathering. How could he be lonely? He was a revered and beloved member of the congregation, a pillar of the church. Many persons expressed disbelief, and when the group quieted down, the man spoke again, saying, "Every man in this room who's my age knows what I'm talking about. Our social upbringing," he taught, "has taught us not to talk about our feelings. We're not supposed to be emotionally vulnerable or close to anyone except our wives." Tandeyeka goes on, "Something happened to me when he spoke. I felt the man's vulnerability. I could feel his vulnerability because his heart spoke the hidden language of my own heart, loneliness. My own social upbringing had taught me not to talk about my feelings to anyone either. I'd learned to be emotionally invulnerable and closed to everyone. But now, here in the midst of this gathering community, someone so much like myself had stepped forward and said, 'I'm lonely.' He did not step forward from a place of authority as an authoritative figure, or as someone who was racially identified or his class status being an issue. He stepped forward to talk about his own unmet needs for intimacy. His story was my story. My story was his story. All of us in the room," she says, "were now in the presence of an open space, open heart, a change of heart. It was a call for healing that could be performed only in a religious community because hope and healing are not a solo act. Together, we love this man beyond belief, beyond our own mistaken ideas about who he is. Together, we created an ethos of care and compassion in which we could simply love him, a place where we could feel at home, where he could feel at home in his own truth, speaking his heart among friends, among a congregation. Loving beyond belief means loving people regardless of whether we believe alike. It means opening up a space for each other to bring our authentic selves forward, unafraid. Being loved beyond belief is an experience of being seen and loved for who we really are. Now, as we heard from the journal entry that Barbara read earlier from Margaret Fuller, how she explains her relationship with Ralph Waldo Emerson. She said, we agreed that my God was love and that his God was truth. Each had their own experience and way of approaching spirituality way of approaching life and religion, yet they respected each other, they learned from each other, they gave each other the freedom and encouraged each other to find and understand God and truth and love in the way that spoke most forcefully to them out of their own hearts. That's what we're doing here. In our times, the same thing that they were doing in the 1830s. That's how we can have humanists and theists and Christians and Jews and Buddhists and all kinds of people together, because we love beyond belief. Hearing Carlton's story about what happened when he came forward with his own truth out of his own experience, and how he ended up homeless and felt ostracized. You may have experienced that. Many of us have experienced that, where we come and bring our truth forward, either at home, in our families, at work, or other places, and don't feel welcome, don't feel seen and respected and heard for who we are, for our own truth. But here is a place when we do it well, when we do it right, when we live out our covenant and our truth as All Souls, we do it in a way that allows each other to speak our truth in love, to be who we are, and to still be seen and respected and loved. Life is not a solo act. We need each other, and that's why we're here. Because love is here, and because there's no better measure of a life. Sure, we can measure our life in truths that we've learned, in times that we've cried, in sunsets and lattes and laughter and strife, into bridges that we've burned, or things that we've tried. But right now, as we make room for each other, as we lift up the names of those who've gone before us, as we grow up and not just grow old, we become one in spirit, despite the many things that could divide us, that some say should divide us. We become one in spirit, and we are measuring this season in love. What a wondrous love it is. I love you. Amen.
Sister, so take me by the hand. Let's go. Together we will work till we're done. There's no foe that can defeat us when we're walking side by side. As long as there is love, we will stand. You're my brother, you're my sister, so take me by the hand, together we will work.
We're so happy you're visiting with us online today. We love connecting with people all across the country and around the world, sharing our powerful message of love beyond belief.
There's something new happening here. You can now join All Souls as a virtual member. Our virtual membership is designed for friends who live outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, and who want to engage with All Souls in a meaningful way.
You can be part of an expanding family, a global family really, wherever you are. If you live in Oklahoma,
Ohio,
or Orange County, California,
Canada,
or Cameroon. By becoming a virtual member, you'll be able to deepen your connections with members and friends here in Tulsa and with members wherever you are.
Each week, you'll receive special All Souls content tailored for you, our virtual members. Virtual members have access to pastoral care, to personal prayers, and also receive invitations to exclusive web events.
You can learn more, and if you're ready, you can become a virtual member today by visiting allsoulschurch.org/virtual membership.
We're grateful our ministries are having a positive impact on your life, and we want to share the good news of love beyond belief with more and more people. So no matter what, we need your support to keep this ministry growing and thriving. So please consider making a gift today. You can do so by texting
LOVEBB for Love Beyond Belief to 73256, or simply visit our website. You are a blessing in our lives. May you be blessed.
And be a blessing.